Welcome to Module 3. We are talking about estates in land. It's going to get a little bit deeper, a little bit more challenging. I like to always say it's kind of like swimming, and we've kind of been in the shallow end of the pool. Now, I'm holding your hand, okay, but we're starting to kind of inch out into some deeper waters, a little more challenging information. You will see, trust me, you will see questions from this chapter, Estates and Land. You need to know what fee simple estate is. It's the highest form of ownership a person can have in real estate. No strings attached, except for, as we will talk about briefly here and talk about in more depth down further in the course, Uncle Pete, P-E-T-E. That's the acronym for police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat, E-S-C-H-E-A-T. We'll discuss those more, so don't panic about that. What I want you to understand is this. When we say you own property in fee simple, it's the highest form of ownership you can have. It just simply means that no one can really come in and tell you what to do with your real estate or your property except for Uncle Pete. There are zoning laws. There are EPA laws. So there are some police powers that they could actually come in and tell you that, hey, you can't do that on your property. You can't store or, dangerous chemicals in the ground in your property. They could come in and take your property. Eminent domain, we'll discuss that a little bit further. They can tax your property. They can make you pay taxes. And when we say escheat, that's when a person dies without a will and without heirs, and it goes to the state. It escheats to the state. So you own your property, fee simple, highest form of ownership you can have. We talked about a couple of fee simple defeasible types of ownership. We talked about determinable, and we also talked about the subject to a condition. I had to think about that for just a second. I haven't seen a lot of those questions on the exam. I'm not saying disregard those, but I would definitely understand what fee simple is. And if you can understand fee simple defeasible, that there's a determinal and a condition subsequent. The way I remember those two is with a condition subsequent, C for condition. If you remember, C for court. If it's a condition subsequent, you have to go to court in order to get that property back. In other words, if I sold you the property or gave you the property, left it to you through my will, and I put a condition subsequent, you have to always use the property as a church. If anyone ever purchased that property and started living there and there was never a church there, if I wanted to take action to get that property back, I have to go to court. And I remember that by condition. C begins with the letter C, and court begins with the letter C. A fee simple defeasible, that is determinable, that you have in your notes is just automatic. If you ever stop using that property as a church, it's going to automatically revert back to me. Now, I'm sure you probably have to go to court. Again, I don't see a lot of questions on those two terms, but I just continue to review and go over those. Make sure you understand fee simple and what type of estate that is. You do see some pour attrivé. I've seen some life estate questions, very popular on the exam. I would understand what a life estate is and a life tenant. We've got several questions here in your information. You need to know that. You need to know what a life tenant can and can't do, what happens and who it reverts to if they ever violate any of those situations, or the whole process of that. And then I would also understand the legal life estates that are in your notes, dower, courtesy, homestead exemption. I have seen questions on all of those when I've had opportunities to look at the exam at our educational meetings. So a lot of definitions. I think if you study those, go over those, review those, you'll do just fine, and those will work real well. So let's take this question here. Which goes to a third party is called reservation, pour attrivé, reversion, remainder. Which goes to a third party is called, it wouldn't be reservation, it wouldn't be reversion, doesn't revert back, it's not a remainder, but remember pour attrivé. Pour attrivé, we have that right here. For another's life. A life estate, pour attrivé, is a life estate that is measured by the life of a person other than the grantee. So that is the correct answer. B as in boy. We'll take one more here. The most all-inclusive type of real property is a fee simple estate, life estate, conditional fee estate, reversionary interest. Well, the most all-inclusive type of estate, of real property, is a fee simple estate, A. Read the questions 3 times if need be, at least a couple of times, okay? Make sure you're answering the correct answer, and make sure you kind of eliminate those. I mean, on number 1, the most all-inclusive type of real property is, well, fee simple sounds pretty good to me. Life estate, that's not really an all-inclusive because at some point it's going to go to someone else, right? I could have that life estate, but if if it's based on someone else's life, when they die, I lose the life estate. Remember that? So that's not all-inclusive. Conditional fee estate, well, conditions not all-inclusive, so I can get rid of that. Reversionary interest, again, that's not a good answer. So the answer would be A, fee simple estate. That wraps up Module 3 on my side. You're going to take your review exam next. Once you pass that, you can move on to the next module. I look forward to seeing you there.